Welcome to another exciting edition of American Warrior Radio, the place to be for news, notes, interviews, and current events for all issues military and veteran related. If you or someone you know has ever worn the uniform of the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, or National Guard or Reserves, you've come to the right place. American Warrior Radio, right here on the Talk to Me station, AM 1300 WMEL, sponsored by AVET Project. Folks, this program is all about supporting our troops and their families, both past and present. So please get comfortable, grab a cup of coffee, maybe a pencil or paper to jot down a note or two, because we're always efforting to bring you important information that you can use and share. With that said, let's roll down the runway and get this show off the ground. As you all know, my name is Garren. I'm an Air Force veteran, a retired legal advocate for veterans, and founder of AVET Project. My co-host, Glenn McGuffey, also retired Air Force and the supervisor of the Brevard County Veterans Service Office, is busy again today. This is a busy time for him. He's actually helping facilitate the stand down in South Brevard. He's got his entire team from the Brevard County Veterans Service Office down there assisting homeless and at risk of being homeless veterans obtain VA benefits and the like. So he's going to be busy all afternoon. We excuse him. He's got an excused absence today, but he's doing the good work. And honestly, with these stand downs and what they provide to our homeless veteran population around here, it's significant. And it's important that we do this outreach, because without it, they're basically just left with nothing. And I want to encourage everybody that does have questions regarding their claims, if you're listening here on the Space Coast, and again, AM 1300's terrestrial radio signal reaches from Indian River over to Orange up into Volusia. If you are listening online at 1300WMEL.com, that's great. If you're outside of this listening area, you can go to a county veteran service office near you. In Florida, each county has one. There's 67 different branches or offices. Glenn's is located in the Viera Government Complex here in Brevard. You can reach him by calling 321-633-2012, 633-2012, but they're so incredibly busy with only him and two other service officers that I encourage you to stop by his office directly. But if you have any specific questions, yeah, go ahead and give him a call. He'll be joining us again, but again, it's a real busy time of the year for him. Wanted to share real quick that AVET Project, and we got some help, not only from our volunteers, but a couple other organizations. We were able to feed the 715th MP Company right here in Melbourne, right by O'Galley High School. This is a squad of some 200 soldiers, both men and women, with the 715th Military Police Company, who are getting ready to deploy for the third time to Afghanistan next spring. Well, they're doing their weekend drill training, and we were able to provide them breakfast yesterday, so big hoo-ah out to the 715th MP Company for all the good work they're doing. They were actually bringing out racks and racks of rifles to get them cleaned and ready. So big shout out to them. I know a lot of them are listening, or their family members are listening, but it's just one of the ways that AVET Project reaches out to our local military community. Of course, we are out at Patrick Air Force Base, where we're based out a lot. You know, folks, we've got, I'll mention some other goings on towards the end of the program, but I want to get right into the heart of this particular episode. We have, again, with us, and we really appreciate you being here, Dr. Scott Fairchild.
Great to be here. It's great to be here, and in fact, I'm excited. Just drifted down from the stand down in Titusville, and
how was it going?
Oh, you're absolutely right. There's so much activity there, and all of those great veteran service officers are taking care of these young veterans, and some of the older veterans as well, who are coming in, and they don't have claims. You know, I just finished talking with a young Marine, or an older Marine, who had served in Vietnam and Da Nang. And, you know, he just didn't know about filing a claim for his Agent Orange and his PTSD. So it's so important to talk to the veteran service officers if you've been in country, in combat, in anywhere in the world, or if you're suffering from any mental health issues subsequent and related to your service. Time to get in and talk to those veteran service officers. But as always, it is a pleasure to be here. I always enjoy the opportunity to share the time with you and Kim and others and all of your guests, and I look forward to a lively topic today.
We do. We got a great program. You mentioned something that's important, though, and that is for our Vietnam veterans, especially those that had boots on the ground or were on one of the ships that is has been designated as having been exposed to the herbicide Agent Orange and all the other herbicides that were cancer-causing agents. There are a growing number of what they call presumptive service-connected disability conditions based on being over there. And as you said, Doc, there are so many of our Vietnam vets that aren't even aware that they may have compensation for them. I encourage you, and this is evidenced by the fact that all the American Warrior Radio episodes, or nearly all of them, are videotaped and put up on YouTube. So if you want to, number one, you can go to the archives tab at 1300WMEL.com to listen to past programs, but because of space on the server and what have you, we have to drop them off occasionally. We haven't done an Agent Orange program in a while. When Glenn gets back, we certainly will, predominantly because we're seeing a growing number of people hitting on these videos to learn about what benefits are available to Agent Orange exposed vets. I think the latest count on one of our episodes was 751 views on the YouTube video, so that tells us that there's a definite interest in wanting to find out more about that. So we're going to do our darndest to get more information out. But Doc, you're here, and we talked about this particular topic the last couple of weeks, and we have another special guest with us, former Army. I believe you're retired now, Michael?
Yeah.
We have Michael Foster with us. Say hello, Michael.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Thank you so much for joining us today on American Warrior Radio, because you got a story to tell, and not only that, you've gone the extra step and you've put it into book form.
Yeah, it's really something special, and I'm going to write another book too about coming back home from war and everything like that, and just explain from my side of the story what is going on.
Well, give us a little background on yourself. I mean, anybody can go to the website and we'll get to that, but just for the audience right now, tell us what you did before you joined the Army and how you joined the Army and what happened afterwards.
Well, I was in martial arts ever since I was like 4 to about 23. Took world, national, state championships, and I just really enjoyed that. And I thought I was going to be, into that, but, time turns around. So I went to college.
Where'd you go to school at?
I went to a high-tech institute, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So I got my X-ray tech, and I was in through radiology, and I just had a really good time out there, and I missed home, so I moved back, and then I just the jobs weren't flying towards me, and then that's why I joined the Army. And
so you graduated your X-ray tech degree, and you couldn't find employment, so you thought, heck, I want to serve my country.
Yeah, and I think it was all for the right reasons for joining for my country. My family was really big into it, and so that was one reason why I wanted to join. The other was for my family, the Constitution, and just a lot of good things. But everyone needs money.
Exactly. So, yeah. Michael, I want you to hold that thought. That's just a brief introduction. We've got our long-lost co-host, Glenn McGuffey, on the line. Can you hear me, Glenn? Oh, you're coming through crystal. Very, very well. I want to ask you, because Doc just came down from the Titusville. You're in the South Brevard stand down, right?
That's probably the first time in Brevard's history that I know of that there's a stand down here at American Legion Post 117 in Palm Bay, and there's a great crowd of people here, volunteers, ROTC, and a host of services. I'm standing close to the Vet Center table over here. Next to that, the housing, and then there's dental, and the clinic people are here to enroll folks in the clinic if they're not already enrolled. And of course, inside they've got medical care going on, along with our good friend Lance Armstrong and his chiropractic team doing free chiropractic services. There's haircuts, and of course we're here doing better service work, and we've been plenty busy, which makes me plenty happy. And the VA has finally assigned someone to replace the lady that was their outreach specialist for these stand downs, and he's in here also doing claims. So we've got me and Paul Hyatt from the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, the gentleman from the VA, and then the volunteer service officer from American Legion Post 117. It's a fantastic day and a fantastic event down here. I'm so happy this first one looks to be going very successful. It's really spread out. They've got a big site here at Post 117, and they spread out the services all across in tents and canopies and what have you. And like I say, it's a great day, a great event. What's going on with you?
Well, I want to talk to you for a second about that, because with the first ever in South Brevard stand down at 117, a lot of folks may have some confusion in getting there. You have to kind of do a U-E and turn by that Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yeah, and when you get on the road coming in here, there's signs out on Emerson that show stand-down parking, and they're parking actually at a church site that's down about a block and a half from here, but they got tons of golf carts transporting people from their vehicles, whether it be the homeless bidders that come in a van or a bus or whatever, to the site here and then back to the return transportation. So far from everything I've seen, this is well done, well coordinated.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm happy, and a big shout out to Post 117, because the facility is just wonderful there. They've got the big pond and the little tiki hut there, and it sounds like they're making good use of it. And also the fact that George Taylor's group, I think it's NVHS, they helped make this happen. Am I right, Glenn?
That's absolutely true, and I think it's really a great combined effort between American Legion Post 117 and their members and auxiliary members and Sons of American Legion members. That's kind of the three main groups for American Legion membership, plus the National Veterans Homeless group.
Sure. And as far as the claimants themselves, all the vets, you got plenty of volunteers helping them, escort them through the lines for what they need.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of mirrored on the one that's been up in Titusville, and then the one in Central Brevard that's held annually. And everybody gets an escort. There's no shortage of escorts to take them around to all the services that they need to go to. I've been trying to train on the go for some of the escorts and tell them what we do and that they need to bring them to us whether they think they need to come to see us or not.
For sure. Hey, Glenn, how long is it running today?
I'm sorry, ask that again?
How long is the stand down going to go today? When does it end?
3-ish or whenever.
Okay. Nobody's going to get turned away.
It takes longer, so.
Sure. Nobody's going to get turned away, so I encourage anybody that knows a homeless vet or a at risk of being homeless vet to get plugged in down there at American Legion Post 117 in Palm Bay. Glenn, you're going to continue to work the claims for these guys and gals, and I'm glad that you were able to call in, because we miss you here at American Warrior Radio in the studio, but thank you so much for calling in and give us an update.
Well, you're certainly welcome, and it's my pleasure to do that. I wanted our American Warrior Radio show the audience to know I am not missing in action.
That's right, you are in action, that's for sure, brother. As always. Well, Glenn, again, thanks for calling in. We'll look forward to seeing you here in the studio soon.
All right, have a great show, and soon be back in the studio.
Very good, brother.
Thanks for all you do, Glenn.
Get back to work. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
All right, you bet. Bye. Okay, folks, that was my co-host, Glenn McGuffey, retired Air Force, your Brevard County Veteran Service Office supervisor there at Post 117 in Palm Bay. Like I said, if you are a homeless vet or you know somebody that's homeless, a veteran, or at risk of being homeless, get them plugged in. The number of resources are staggering. They've really done a good job. And Doc, you were telling us today, simultaneously up in Titusville, we got another stand down in North County.
It's been fantastic up there to see all the volunteers, to see nurses, to see doctors, to see wives of veterans, to see students, to see all these people coming out, mental health counselors. It's just phenomenal to see that, and to see these folks marching through, getting good meals, getting some underwear, getting some fresh clothing, getting their teeth checked, getting their feet checked. They were announcing over the loudspeaker, the podiatrist is here, bring your feet on in.
Awesome.
So they got folks, some good stuff going on.
It's there, and we want to, like I said, pay some special thanks to George Taylor and his group. the National Veterans Homeless Support, and of course the DAV up in Titusville, and American Legion Post down in Palm Bay. So good work, everybody. Okay, that little interruption I had forgotten about, but I'm glad Glenn called in, because y'all need to know what's going on here locally. And if you don't know, if you're outside this area and you want to get involved in a stand down, this is where we provide services like Glenn and Doc were talking about. You can do so. Just Google it. Get involved in your local community and help out these vets that have done so much for our country. Michael, sorry for the interruption there. You're telling us a little bit about your background.
Yeah.
So you got you went to school for X-ray tech, couldn't find employment, decided to join the Army.
Yeah.
Then what happened? And what specifically was the career field of choice for you?
I was in mortuary affairs, 192 Mike, or 92 Mike, and I really, I didn't really expect very much of anything because I was in the X-ray field. But when I did my very first body and everything like that, it was just so surreal. I couldn't express what I went through and everything like that. But it was, and we had somewhat of a good time too, because everyone was trying to enlighten people. But it was just one of those tough things that you have to go through. And then from then on, I was just cued on the families. I did it all for the families. I
was going to ask what your motivation was.
Yeah.
Well, so you joined the Army and you got into mortuary affairs. You really didn't know. I mean, everybody knows what mortuary affairs kind of deals with.
Yeah.
The death and the dying and
I don't think anyone knows really exactly what goes on.
Yeah, well, that's what prompted you to write this
Yeah.
book. But so you got into the Army, you selected that career field,
Yeah.
and you went to a tech school. How long was your tech school? Where was that at?
I think my tech school was about 4 months. Yeah, something like that. And we did all kinds of training. We did live training. We did all this, stuff at the Richmond morgue, and we did it at Dover. We went down there a few times and then came back, and then that's where I was stationed at, was Fort Lee, and that was where I did all my schooling and everything. So.
And is it just Army that gets trained in mortuary affairs there, or other branches as well?
No, there's some branches of the Air Force that does that. There's Marines, Navy.
So across the board,
Yeah,
everybody
it just goes across the board. I don't know if it goes to Coast Guard. Yeah, I don't think it goes to Coast Guard, but I'm not sure.
So you went over, and where did you do your foreign duty? Where were you deployed at?
I was in Bayap, Iraq, southwest of the city of Baghdad. Yeah, that was
southwest of Baghdad. So really, and what time frame are we talking about here?
2008. That was the time that I went. I deployed May 30th, and then I came back December 15th.
And you mentioned before we went on air when we were talking a little bit, and folks, I'm going to encourage you to go to his website and learn more about him and his efforts to get the word out.
Yeah.
But you were talking about these deployments, particularly to that career field, are not as long as some career fields.
Yeah. It's
what would the reason be for that?
Well, the deployment status and everything is just to, they go for 12, 14 months, and we do it for 4 to 6 or 7 months, and that period is very crucial to all of us because you're dealing with a lot of body count, you're dealing with a lot of hoopla with everything, and it's just it brings out your PTSD.
Folks, yeah, this is 2008, so
the
war is hot and heavy there in Iraq.
Yeah, it was getting pretty hot. It was almost just as bad as 2006.
Okay, so before we get
it's amazing, and it's so important. I think that those tours are a relatively shorter length.
Yeah.
Oh, compressed because the stress, the levels of stress. And Michael, how many bodies was it that you processed in that short 6-month period of time?
I want to say it was over 800. But
oh my Lord.
there was. It
wasn't all U.S. service.
Yeah, it wasn't all U.S. I think we had like 147 U.S. soldiers.
So our mortuary affairs were processing our Allied war dead as well as some of the locals or the Iraq?
And the Al-Qaeda and Egyptians, and we even had Jordanians, just everyone. I mean, anything that came on our plates, we dealt with it. So it was kind of commemorating to working for the world and their families.
Yeah, and a lot of folks out there, particularly in the world, I mean, any American, any full-blooded patriotic American knows that our military is one of the most outstanding, if the most outstanding standing military on the planet. And we do so much more than just take care of our own. We're always, it's a humanitarian military, it really is, and those are some perfect examples. We've only got a few minutes here before the bottom of the break, but as a result of your service over there, you had some physical injuries that occurred, but also, as Doc was alluding to, the anguish, the mental stress started to compound.
Yeah, it was really hard. We've been together for 3 years. Is that
It's
right?
about 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
Absolutely.
And it's been one headache after another, but it was just really a good, wholesome thing that Dr. Scott Fairchild is out here to help me out, and
and you're brave enough and willing enough to come on and share some of this, and I don't want to get into anything that you don't want to disclose. But Doc, when he presented to you, now you're a career retired Army psychologist yourself. You've seen a whole lot of stuff in your years. This young man presents. Was it outside the norm?
Well,
his problems?
Michael came in, and he was headed probably for a career in medicine, and he came in, and all of a sudden he'd been significantly impacted, maybe even more than he reasoned at the time that he came in. Significantly impacted both physically and emotionally, and so we had to do something in the way of stabilization, and the most important thing, of course, is establishing a connection and establishing a career, or a connection, and establishing a collegiality and a rapport. And so as we got connected, I even learned that he handled a lot of the bodies, but he also got involved in handling excavation of bodies, of grave sites, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit more later. But it was a pretty powerful experience, and so we had to kind of get things stabilized and go from there, didn't we?
And folks, I want you to stay tuned on American Warrior Radio right here on AM 1300 WMEL. We're going to be back with more with Dr. Scott Fairchild and Army veteran Michael Foster. So stay tuned. We'll see you in just a moment.